So today I was like, what am I going to talk about? I never know what to talk about. But I saw this article, which I'm sure y'all have seen it by now. I'm going to show it to you if you have not. Hold on. Oh, well, let me do my little introduction. Hey, y'all, I'm Charisma with Charisma Cares Travels. I travel the world full time with my son. Ooh, my edges. Uh, with my son with a disability, and we do so by investing in real estate. So I also teach other women to invest in real estate, whether that is multi-family apartments, single family homes, different things of that nature, and do it hands off. So here we talk about travel, we talk about investing, and apparently we talk about wine too. But we're just doing life together. So feel free to click that like button if you like what you see and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you click on notifications because the lives are kind of the best part. The lives and the premieres. I like the premieres too. So, all right, I did that part. So, hey everybody. Happy Tuesday, Miss LGC. Let's see. All right. So, I wanted to talk about this article today. Why they want to show me here? See, Google be all in your business. So the last thing I need to do is present this article to y'all. And what y'all see at the top are these wigs that I've been looking at. They so extra. They're just so nosy. Uh, Hold on, let me pull this back up. I'm like, why y'all gotta be so nosy? I just want to show the articles. But I have been looking at some human black people type hair wigs. They are amazing with with our hairline. So that's what it's trying to show me. So I'm trying to do things the right way and not get off track and tell y'all about the wigs. So I've been looking at this article, right? About these two American women, no, these four Americans that went down to Mexico. It's still gonna show me about the wig, y'all. That went down to Mexico, and I was trying to see if I can make it larger. Two of them got kidnapped, and found dead, and two were alive, right? So if you didn't catch the article, I want to make sure that you actually see this article. I'm gonna put it on this one so it's a little bigger. Because I thought this was something we really need to talk about, y'all. So it says two of the four Americans kidnapped by armed gunmen in Mexico border city of Matamoros. I hadn't even heard of that place, so let's start there. On Friday were found dead, and two were found alive on Tuesday, U.S. and Mexican officials said. Shaid Woodard and Zendale Brown were found dead. A U.S. official familiar with the ongoing investigation told CNN their bodies were examined by Mexican authorities prior to their remains being turned over to the government. Latavia Washington McGee, a mother of six, and Eric Williams survived the ordeal. They were taken to a Texas hospital for treatment, and the government said that McGee was found uninjured and Williams had a bullet to the leg. So somebody's been detained, but they won't say if it's criminal organization. They were found in a wooden house. So I want to tell you the backstory here. So this group of friends traveled from South Carolina to Mexico driving. So Washington McGee, they said here a medical procedure. So she was going to get a tummy tuck. So she traveled all the way from South Carolina to Washington. And they were going to cross the border in this spot place, Matamoros. I don't even know where this area is. I don't know if y'all know, but they get lost while trying to locate the clinic. So the clinic is in this area. It's not even in a major like Mexico City or anything like that. So they get lost trying to locate the clinic. They reached out to the doctor's office for directions, but were struggling to communicate because of poor cell phone service. They crossed the border and they were fired upon by some unidentified people. They were placed in a vehicle. Two of them were killed, two were alive, but they were mistook for Haitian drug smugglers. And then there was an innocent person that was killed by stray bullets. So apparently this is the area right here where they went in from Texas on this side somewhere and entered into Mexico. Um, so then they start talking about the violence in Mexico, the drug war, the growing business of medical tourism. So I need to know what y'all thought about that. I do. So I want to know what y'all thought about this before I say, what I thought about it. Um, because I feel like there's so many layers to this. It's for me, first of all, let me end that. So first, I'm like, God rest the souls of those that were killed. And second, let me say this is just my opinion, and my opinions tend to get a little extra sometimes. So if you have any surgeries or anything, this is not directed at you personally. You know, because people, you do what you do. Okay, so Miss LGC says she didn't hear anything about it. So yeah, I read about it yesterday, and I was in my physical therapy, my PT today, right? And these two people were talking about it. It was like a younger black person, older white person. And they were talking about it, right? So it was like the conversation kind of went a little like this. Did you hear about that article where the two people got killed in Mexico? Yeah, I did. See, that's why people shouldn't go to Mexico. Yeah, I know. I was supposed to go on a trip. Sorry. I was supposed to go on a trip for high school, but I wasn't able to go. And they went to Mexico. And two of my friends, they were riding motorcycles and they got pulled over and patted down by the federales. And one of my other friends, he took a pair of five pairs of these very expensive sneakers, and they got stolen out of the hotel by the hotel staff. Then they say, then the lady says, yeah, my husband, he goes down there a lot for work. And the digital workers are young and all they do is party down there. I don't even think they do any work. They just party and do drugs and drink. So now y'all know it took me everything in my power to hold my tongue. This is only my second time at PT. So I'm really trying to hold my tongue here, right? So then the conversation continues. Oh, that's why nobody should ever go to Mexico. It's just dangerous there. Nobody should ever go into Mexico. I don't know why anybody would do such a thing. I don't know what kind of tourism there is there. Right. Right. Exactly, Teresa. It's one place. It is. And so I'm bubbling inside, right? And I'm trying not to say anything. And as I listen to their ignorant conversation about these two people that were killed, I start to wonder how many people were killed in the United States today. But I can't say that because then they don't like you. But it's like, so two people were killed. How many people were killed in the United States today? How many people were shot at in the United States today? And I'm like, it's funny how we are so very brainwashed here. We really are. We're made to think that we are the safest country. Right. We are the safest country around here. We're made to think. We're definitely made to think that. And I'm like, the ability to brainwash such a large group of people is quite amazing. It's quite amazing because how many school shootings? I think they said we've had over 100 school shootings just this year. Over 100 school shootings. And then, you also got to think about this. Why would they travel through terrain they were not familiar with? These are places in Mexico that are hotbeds for drugs, the same as it is in the US. RIP to the deceased. Exactly. So, my thing was, I know people that cross the border. A lot of people cross the border through like that Tijuana area. That seems to be a very popular place to cross the border. I've heard it's iffy, but it's not like you're going to die iffy. It's just a little iffy. However, if you're going to cross a border, you need to know what you're doing. And that's not just the Mexican border. I've crossed borders before. I've crossed the Canadian border from Detroit. And even then, my brother, he had to tell me, girl, this is what's about to happen when you cross this border. This is what you need to do. This is what you don't need to do. I was given very specific instructions on crossing this border. Going into Canada, very, very nice. Coming back into America, I was searched. My car was searched. Not only was my car searched, what is going on in this house? Sorry, I just hear a bunch of noise. Not only was my car searched, they asked me all kinds of questions because going in, I didn't have my passport. I showed my ID and he let me in. Coming out, I still don't have my passport. I show my ID. They said, well, this isn't a real ID. This isn't the one. That's what it's called, real ID. Apparently in Georgia, they don't issue us real IDs. This isn't the one that you use to cross the border. Well, sir, I'm not really sure what we're going to do here because considering I'm a Georgia resident, like I was just like, okay. But my thing was, sir, considering I'm a Georgia resident, you ain't got no choice but to let me back in. I'm an American. Like the time to stop me was when I was trying to go into Canada. The time to stop me was not when I was coming back to America from Canada. So I'm pretty sure there's no rule that says you can't let an American in back to America. So that was Canada. And you think about it, people go through that Detroit, Canada border all the time. And they still, like, they open the trunk. What did you buy? We bought some chocolate. Like, that's what we bought. We bought nothing. We got some chocolate. You want a chocolate? Like, it was still like all of these questions as an American coming back into America. Like, they were telling people to pull over. When we crossed the Panama, hold on. Pamela wants to say about, she said they could be strict going and coming through the Canadian border. I had friends that traveled from Cleveland to that border and they turned them around. And they let me in. They did. It was me, my mom, my sister, and my son. So they let us in. He was like, oh, you're fine. He was like, really? He was like, I'm about to get off. Y'all don't look like y'all gonna do that. So he was like, go ahead, because I just started talking to him and, we were good to go. But coming back was when we had a problem. And then when I crossed Panama to Costa Rica, some of you may have seen that video when I went from Panama to Costa Rica. That was scary. Like literally, I took a service to bring me across. They dropped me off at the Panama thing. I had to go show them my passport and everything. Nobody spoke English. At this point, I barely spoke Spanish, and then they shuffled me off to another person. I had to drag luggage, push my son's wheelchair, walk across. Then there was a checkpoint where they had to pass me off to somebody else because they couldn't go over the border. So they passed me off to somebody else. Then that person took me to the next place where I had to go in. And that was back when they needed COVID tests and all of that. So I had to present all of that again. It's dogs walking around you sniffing. This looks like this looks like a crap building. Like this thing look like it may fall at any time. This is where it's at. Like you go through this building, they have to check you off, and then they don't go in with you because that your travel agency can't go in with you. They have to check you off. You come back out once they clear you, and then you're taken to the van to continue on through Costa Rica. Y'all know it was all kinds of people hanging around and everything else. I wouldn't have done that by myself without knowing what was going on. I had no idea. I had no idea that all of that was about to happen. Like Teresa said, border crossing anywhere is another level. I don't know if these people think that if you cross a border in Guatemala, it's gonna be any easier than if you cross a border here to Mexico, but it is not. It is hard. So the fact that y'all going down there, I don't know what kind of service y'all had, but T-Mobile is the best service to travel with that I found. That's gonna go in and out to these different places. I don't know what kind of service they had trying to do that. But nah, you can't just cross those borders. How far is the distance from Panama to Costa Rica border? Panama and Costa Rica connect, so it's literally a bridge that you can walk across. They said back in the day the bridge had holes, so you kind of had to jump across the bridge. But they since rebuilt the bridge, but it's not far. It's actually a walk. And I have a video where I show you my actual walk across from one place to the other. So you leave out of it's called Big Mouth in Spanish. Is it called Big Mouth in Spanish? You leave out of what part of that? I don't know. It's in the video. Panama, Costa Rica border. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up and tell you which one you leave out of. Okay, so you leave out of Boca del Toro, mouth of the bull. So you leave out of Boca del Toro, and that's in Panama. And then you go into Puerto, I want to say Viejo, but I can't remember. I've been to so many Puerto places. Yeah, you go into Limon, Puerto Viejo. So, I mean, that ain't even the whole story. I had to take a boat. I had to take a van, a boat, a walk, a van, a boat, a van, a walk over the bridge into the next security, and then a van to cross that border. So, and that was with a service. Like that was a paid service. And no, they did not tell me before I crossed that border that's what I was going to have to do. But my family's from Panama, Costa Rica. So I wanted to go to Limon, Costa Rica, Puerto Viejo, because that's where my family is from. And I still have family there. If you take a plane into Costa Rica, the capital, you have to drive 4 hours to get to Puerto Viejo, Limon, Costa Rica, because it's on the coast. So if you want to see that area, if you're already in Panama, you take a little plane, one of those little planes from Boca del Toro, and you take that little plane. You take a little plane from Panama City to Boca del Toro, and then you take that little maze of an adventure I just told you about. Y'all, that was one of my first trips, and I had no idea that it would be like that. So yes, you said, yeah, that would be beautiful. I thought about doing one of those, but I already went to Panama. But I would love to do one of those cruises. So getting back, so So basically these four individuals travel down here to get her a tummy tuck. They drive from North Carolina to Mexico, this small area of Mexico that I don't know if any of y'all have heard of. I've never heard of this area. They get lost, and it's basically they're saying that it was mistaken identity, that these individuals were taken. So they say the lady that originated, the lady that's one of the ladies that survived is the one that originally wanted to take the trip. They were like, she had 6 kids and she wanted a tummy tuck. So I don't have anything against a tummy tuck. I have looked into getting it. I watched the video. The nurse in me is like, oh, hell no. Nah. Y'all not about to cut me 3 different ways and snip me back. It's rough. You ever watch that video? Woo. I'm like, oh, all right, y'all. All right, girl, you worked for that when you did that. So I've watched the video. But the thing is, what I didn't understand, right? You're going to drive from North Carolina to Mexico to get a tummy tuck. I don't know how many hours that is, but I imagine it's a whole hell of a lot of hours. How are you going to get back? So when you get a tummy tuck overseas, a lot of times they tell you to stay there. They tell you to stay there for at least a few days to a week so you can heal. And even when they have these doctors, normally these doctors are in places like Mexico City, like major areas. Was this even a real doctor she was going to see? Was she set up? Like, I kind of wondered, like, were these people set up? Was this even a real doctor's office? Because what doctor is in a place like this? What does this place look like in this back? But this one of those places my grandmother used to say, behind God's back. Like, where is this place? What does this place look like? Right. I mean, where are you going to get this tummy tuck? Anytime you look at people saying they getting something, if they going to Dominican Republic, they're going to Santo Domingo, the capital. If they going to Brazil, they going to one of those places on the map. If they going to Mexico, they going to Mexico City. I don't know. Like, Teresa, when you say that was your first thought, do you think it was a setup, or you kind of wondering why she went to this particular place? Because I'm kind of like, that seems so odd to me. Yeah, it sounds like it's probably some kind of scam or setup, because that doesn't make any sense. And then I'm kind of like, if you're gonna because in my therapy, when the people were talking, they was like, well, if you're going to do these surgeries, you need to have the money to get them done in the States. Now, that I don't necessarily agree with, because a lot of these doctors are educated in the States and then they go overseas. And it is more, I mean, a lot of this medical tourism is better price. Even if you just going to get some teeth, like people go to the DR and places all the time to get teeth. By the time they pay for the procedure, because here I don't know what they charge. I think I was told by one of my family members, they charge like $4,000 or $5,000 per tooth for veneers. By the time they pay $4,000 or $5,000 for per tooth, you could have paid $4,000 or $5,000 for your whole damn mouth in some of these other countries, and that's not even considered cheap. That may be considered expensive, right? It's just that America overcharges people. So if you have the money to fly there, get this done, pay for this trip, do a whole vacation, and still spend less money than you would have in America to get you some new teeth, to get you a tummy tuck. You've done the research on this. You've even gone and looked at reviews and stuff. Go do that, because people do that all day, every day. Now you going to Timbuktu to do this. Sounds like this was gonna be a setup. Why are you driving all the way out there talking about you gonna get a tummy tuck? How was she going to heal? You can't even sit right after a tummy tuck. Like I can't after they literally cut you and then do a T cut, take that out, fold that flap over stuff. I can't imagine how you will be able to sit in this position, this upright position for 10 plus hours to drive, not even fly, drive back to North Carolina. I don't know. I don't know. So that was my thing. And what really got me, because I had already read the article, but what got me was just the way that people automatically, oh, you shouldn't go to, this is why you shouldn't go to Mexico. There's nothing in Mexico. Mexico's all dangerous. Like any country y'all decide is all dangerous. And I think it's really because as Americans, we're brainwashed. We are truly brainwashed. We are meant to believe it's rainbows and unicorns in America. And what people don't realize, what Americans don't realize, is the same way we talk about them is the same way they talk about us. The same way they say, how can you live in America? Are you not scared? Are you not afraid to send your kid to school? She said the drive was 20 hours. Oh my goodness. 20 hours of sitting upright over after surgery. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if she would have made it back without stopping at some kind of hospital. The bleeding, the infection. We really, as women, have to be better gatekeepers of our bodies. I understand. I feel like the media has made it like we all need to look a certain way. We all need to look a certain way. And I'm cool with you looking how you want to look, but make sure that you are the gatekeeper of your body and you're able to do it. Like in Lovely One, I wonder if they even have an airport. Let's go that place. Like, do they even have an airport? Will you even be able to fly into this side place? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I have so many questions. And then when they talk about Mexico, it's this part. You only hear about the bad reports. I'm not even going to say that when I went to Mexico City, I wasn't a little nervous. I was actually a little nervous when I went to Mexico City, because I was brainwashed. But I knew that most of the places that they say are horrible are not horrible. Mexico City is an amazing place. Different parts of Mexico near the beaches are amazing places as long as you stay in the safe areas. But I'm telling you, if you come to Atlanta and you go out of the safe areas, you may go missing too. I ain't even gonna lie to you. You may get shot too. So I'm sure you go to New York and go in certain neighborhoods, may not make it back. You go to Chicago, you may not make it back. Like there are many places. Hell, you go in some these Bible Belt states and drive in certain areas where they still hanging black people. You may not make it back. These what they call them sundowner states. You drive your behind in one of these sundowner states as a black person after 6 o'clock. You may not make it back. So I don't know. I don't know. Jack A, tell me if I said that right. You said I had so many questions about her plans for her surgery, driving versus flying, recovery. Right. And in a lot of these foreign countries, what people don't realize is they have recovery houses. So here in the States, they do your surgery. You get out that recovery room, you breathing, you get the hell out. No. Because I've had friends that's done both. When you go, and I have to speak on Dominican Republic specifically because I have friends that's done it. When you go there, you go to a recovery house afterwards. That recovery house is pennies on the dollar. They say that recovery house is beautiful from top to bottom. You have your own room. The nurse comes in there, make sure you get your medicine, does your lymphatic drainage massage, make sure you can get to the bathroom. You stay there for days to weeks, however long it takes you to recover. It is less than $1,000 for all of these services while you recover. So I'm gonna be honest. If I'm gonna get a procedure, I'm getting out of the States. I'm not doing mine in the States, not even necessarily because of the price, but because of the treatment. I want it. So I have a friend, she said when she did her thing in the DR, the doctor checked on her in her recovery house. The doctor, and when you're overseas, your doctors call and text you. It's not like here. They call, they text you, they do all of these things. Like I could text a doctor right now. My doctor, when I got hurt in Mexico, my doctor would text me and I would just text him back, hey, I could come today. Okay, I'll be there right between 3 and 5. That was the way that went when you're overseas. So you have more personalized care. Your doctors care for you. I'm not telling y'all to go get no procedures. I ain't got one myself. I'm just too scared, so I'll probably never get one. I just occasionally think about it. Then I look at some of the things people say, and somebody dies, and I'm like, we just gonna have to be fed over here. It is what it is. But if you gonna go, why not get good treatment? You don't want to end up, in a situation where you can get blood clots, you can be bleeding, you can hemorrhage, something can happen, you can have chest pain. You don't want to be in that situation by yourself or just with your family member that's not educated on how to take care of you. So why not be in a situation where they can take care of you? And for some reason, I imagine if it's 4 of y'all driving down there, everybody did not take a week off of work. So all of y'all were planning to drive right back, whether it was overnight, maybe 2 nights, but y'all were planning to drive back. After a tummy tuck, 20 hours? Like Teresa said, my mind created so many stories trying to make sense of this. Maybe they drove a van so she could lay down for the ride home. I don't know. That still is not a good idea. After a surgery, you're supposed to get up and walk every hour. Even if you take a plane home, you are supposed to get up and walk every hour so that you don't develop blood clots. I don't know if this little clinic told her this. I don't know if they knew she was driving. I'm pretty sure they did not okay this. And I'm sure they didn't okay you driving 20 hours and driving 20 hours back after the surgery. Because, like I said, I don't know that she would have survived a 20-hour back drive. If you don't walk every hour, that's like if you have a baby. You ever notice they get you up like every hour, especially if you have a C-section? Because that's considered a surgery. Anytime you have a surgery, you need to walk every 30 minutes to an hour so you don't get blood clots. That's why those nurses be bothering you like that, because a blood clot can travel to your lungs and kill you instantly. It's called a pulmonary embolism, or you can get a DVT. When it's in your lungs, it's a pulmonary embolism. When it's in your legs, it's a DVT. Disclaimer, this is not medical advice. Do not use this. Go to your doctor, talk to whomever you need to talk to, your provider, whomever. This is not medical advice. This is YouTube. This is just general talking. But I had to throw that out there. I ain't trying to have nobody come sue me, be like, but Charisma says. Charisma didn't say nothing. But I don't know. Let's see. Pamela said the recovery homes are a good deal. We have them here in Miami. I was thinking of opening one. They are. Are you an RN or NP, Pamela? They are good. I mean, they're amazing. I'm like, if I was ever going to have a surgery, I'd have it somewhere with a recovery house. Now, I don't know how much a Miami recovery house costs. I'm pretty sure it's probably not under $1,000. like it is in the other countries, but that may be why people go overseas. But I feel like if you're going to do a major surgery, a major transformation, put the money aside, save the money to do it the right way. If you don't have the money to do it the right way, and I'm not saying you got to have the best or the greatest doctor, but at least a good and reputable doctor. When I was researching, because my we all got things we don't like. So mine was, I want my stomach to be smaller. When I was researching it, I was on a Facebook group and they referred to some doctors as Dr. Kill. They prefer, like, they would, like, somebody would post and be like, oh, I'm gonna do my video, because you meet by video initially. I'm gonna do my video with Dr. Such and Such, and the ladies would jump on there and they'd be like, you gonna use Dr. Kill? I would never trust Dr. Kill with my life, da 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 da. But then you would have people that would say stuff like, oh, well, this is my last shot. So, and this is all I can get up. So I'm just going to have to take the L, take the loss. And I'm like, take the loss means that you're going to die. Like, to me, that's not a loss. Like, that is the end. Like, I'm not going up against the end to be a smaller size. Like, that's not where it's at. Like, that's another area where we've been brainwashed that we got to look a certain way. And that's one thing I love about being overseas. Don't nobody give a damn what you look like. You're going to lose weight when you get over there anyway after eating this American food. But don't nobody really care what you look like that. Yeah, nobody cares. Pamela says she's an RN. Girl, that's the money maker there. Sunshine said the story was on the world news tonight. It was said that the 3 men went down to get medication. Huh. Okay. Where did they go down to? Where did they go? Like, I don't think, so the way I read it was she hadn't even had her procedure yet. Yeah, so they booked the hotel in Brownsville and planned to drive into Matamoros for the surgery. When I reached out to the doctor, they told me Latavia had reached out to them to ask them for directions because she was lost. They sent me a screenshot of the message and they said they sent her the address and asked if she was using GPS. The disappearance of the 4 were reported to Brownsville's police. Cheryl Orange called police from a Motel 6 in Brownsville Saturday to report the group had not been heard from. Oh, they were in a minivan. Orange told police the 4 had not been answering their cell phones. Report says they checked the local jail to make sure nobody had been taken into custody. Let's see. And then, it says that Matamoros is not considered a primary medical travel destination, largely because there are no internationally accredited medical centers, specialty clinics there, or in the immediate region. So, yeah, they're saying that that's not where people go to get these surgeries. Like, why is she? I don't know why she chose to get this surgery. That's why I'm like, was this a setup? Like, were these people lying to them? Here's the article I'm reading if anybody wants it. Like, it sounds like this was a whole setup. Let's see. They said, so the family was looking for it. Then they saw a video McFadden described as showing her nieces being kidnapped. We recognized her blonde hair. She is a mother that needs to come back from the kids. So she had 6 kids ranging from age 6 to 18. The video shows a woman and other unidentified people being roughly loaded into a white pickup. By this time, they hadn't confirmed that it was her. Then it says the video shows the woman being pulled or pushed onto the bed of the truck by two unidentified people as a third visibly armed man watches. The three men appear to drag at least two limp people onto the truck. The U.S. citizens were driving a white minivan with North Carolina plates. So, yeah, so two of them survived and two of them died. Now, I don't know. After that last case where, you come to find out that the girl was the friend set up to kind of kill her and then fled. And I still don't think they have charges against them. I don't know. Uh, so yeah, you said the area is known for rival cartel activity. So yeah, that everybody knows you don't go where the cartels go, you go where the tourists go. You don't go too far off the beaten path when you know there's cartel in Mexico. I don't know what all cartel do, but I do know from the movies that I watched, I don't really want to find out what they do. And this wasn't even a place for medical tourism. So it's like, why was she over there? I mean, there's just so many things here. Like, it's that whole, we feel like, US is better than every other country. God forbid you go to Mexico, everybody's gonna die. If you go to Mexico, it's so unsafe. Then we have the whole, why did she drive 20 hours to get a medical procedure in a place that was not known for medical procedures? That's why I'm saying, had she gotten the medical procedure, that doesn't sound like that would have ended well anyway. They said they don't even have any qualified doctors or anything there. That's why I'm like, was she going for a medical procedure? Was this like some kind of setup or scam? Then, there's just I don't know, it's so many layers to this. It's so many layers. What is on y'all mind? Because I just feel like it's a lot. And then it's like, why do I don't know, some people I know want to make that change to their body, but it's so unfortunate that we feel like we have to go through such extremes to make this change. Like, if you're going to make it, make sure you got the money to make this change. And you don't well, she didn't die, luckily. I mean, it's sad that any of them did, but luckily she didn't, because she got 6 kids. So luckily she survived. I don't know how she survived. I don't know if anybody has seen or read how her and the other individual made it out. But, imagine you going down here to get this procedure that doesn't seem to be safe anyway, not even including the area. The whole thing the whole entire story doesn't sound safe. You jeopardizing your kids' life and future off of going to get a tummy tuck. Like, really think about that. 6 kids to take care of. If something happened to you, not even including cartel, right? If something happened to you during this procedure, going to this, behind the woods doctor, because this person wasn't accredited or anything like that. They never even named the name of the doctor, the office, or anything. They probably don't want to name it because it may be a cover up for something else. But you done did all of this to go there, and you know what I mean? I don't know. There's a lot. Pamela said there's an interview on Black Sit Radio where a single mom and her daughter relocated to Costa Rica from the States, and it was a total fiasco. Was that it just in general, or was that for the medical tourism? Because I'm gonna be honest, every time I go to a new country, it's a whole fiasco. I have like, my friends and family know at this point that you said driving into there. Okay. Driving in and trying to cross those borders. Is that what you mean, Pamela? Because, like, whenever I arrive somewhere, it's a fiasco. My family already knows. Like that first week, I'm gonna complain because it's gonna be stuff that ain't right, stuff that ain't done well. It's not gonna be what it say it is. Something's not gonna work. Like I don't know. So let me know. Are you saying that it's the border, going over that border, the reason why it's a fiasco? And let me know what y'all think. I know a couple of people, a good amount of people have jumped on since then. So let me know your thoughts. Or if you have any questions, throw those into the chat. Welcome. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. As always, if you like the video, make sure you click like. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Know that this is not what we typically talk about. So this is a little timeout, but we do a lot of chatting here about different things, as well as travel, real estate, and those typical things we do. So this is kind of in our realm, it's dealing with our travel life. And make sure you click for notifications so you know when stuff comes out. So you said the mom said they were stopped at every border and bribed, sent to state buildings. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't drive into well, first of all, I don't like to drive. Like, I barely want to drive from Atlanta to Orlando. So there's that. So you never catch me driving all the way to Mexico, Panama. But I know people that do. I mean, I definitely know there is a straight shot from Panama to Alaska. The I-1, what is it called? The Panama International Highway, something like that. Pan America International Highway, I-1. You could take straight. You could literally take from Africa to, not Africa, Lord, from from, what did I just say, y'all? What country did I just say? Not Africa. What country is all the way up there to the north? Lord, Alaska. From Alaska to Panama, you could take the Pan American Highway. I've driven it. I didn't drive it all the way to Alaska, of course, but I have driven the Pan America, and it's really a straight shot highway. So you really could. I wouldn't drive it. But I mean, I don't like to drive long distances, but I'm not trying to go through no border exchanges. I have had border exchanges. They are not fun at all. Teresa said, I appreciate you talking about this topic. You're welcome. I think these are important because these are Black Americans that went down there. These are our people. We are women. We have these bodies, and media tells us that our bodies are this, that, or the other. We're also traveling to these different places. Make sure y'all do not go to Matamoros. I've never heard of this place. Make sure you do not find yourself there either. Lovely said, this article makes you think that all of Mexico is not safe. Exactly. And that's exactly what I have found. What I was talking about when I was in therapy, and the people were talking, and they grouped Mexico as a whole. And I mean, it's unfortunate that we categorize people the way that we do by who they are when they come here. Because what I have found is that who people are when they arrive in America is who they try to be to blend in with society. When you go back to their country and you are in their country, in their natural surroundings, who they are, to me, is totally different. When I went to Mexico, Mexican people are some of the nicest people I've met. Like, some of the nicest people I've met. Nothing by what America media would like you to think. And it's very unfortunate that something like this paints them in a bad light, because I look at the cartel the same way I looked at the Crips and the Bloods and all that other stuff. You don't want to mess with them. You don't want to go in their territory. You don't want to try to be figuring out what you're doing right, wrong, this, that, and the other. You don't want to do that. You want to stay away from those areas. You don't want to be in nothing that can be considered gang related. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're in Ohio. You do not want to be in these particular territories. Teresa said, blows my mind. Americans call anywhere else unsafe. Violence is seen as the norm here. Exactly. And that's the brainwashing. That's the brainwashing. America is on the top list of the places these countries don't want their people to travel. I have a friend in Australia. They're not even allowed to. There was a time they weren't even allowed to travel here. It was too much domestic terrorism, is how it's labeled. Because she sent me a screenshot. It was like unable to travel to United States, America, due to domestic terrorism, high probability of being caught in crossfire or something like that. Pamela said the same thing. They were really nice to her daughter and her in Mexico. Yeah, they're amazing people. Now, in case you were wondering about that I-1, so driving to Costa Rica is precarious. Had a driver while I was there in Grecia to La Fortuna. I did not drive in Costa Rica. I drove in Colombia. I didn't drive in Colombia. They're even crazier than Costa Rica because they have a lot of motos, follow no rules. I drove in Dominican Republic. That was a little scary. I drove in Panama. I actually drove the Panama I-1. I-1 is easy. Getting out to the country is easy. What's not easy is driving in the city. A little scary. I didn't drive in any of the other places. I didn't drive in Mexico because Mexico City, they had Uber. I don't need to drive if you got Uber. Colombia, they had taxis. They were readily available. And you could do like DD app or something like that. That's my preference. It was just in Dominican Republic where I stayed in Dominican Republic. It was hard to get a Uber because they're in Dominican Republic. They try to rip you off with the Ubers. You call the Uber says one thing. They tell you that it's going to be a different price. And everybody is very like you are more likely to be ripped off by Uber or something like that in Dominican Republic than not. So that's just another one of the many reasons that I would never go back to Dominican Republic. I don't like it. Out of all the places I've been to, Dominican Republic is the one place that I was like, I would never go back to. Unless my friends wanted to do like a girls trip and we only stayed in a resort. But I would never go back there to stay off resort. It's not my cup of tea. Let's see. She said this about the I-1. You could drive that highway, but the Darien Gap is dangerous and known for drug trafficking and kidnapping. Where's the Darien Gap at? I don't know where it is. I only drove it when I was in Panama. It's sad that you have to travel out of the country to get medical assistance, be it cosmetic or health. It is because it's like you could try any other country you travel to, medical is cheaper. What does that say about our medical? That is outrageously overpriced. They are literally price gouging us. The FDA is price gouging us. American medical is led by insurance, which I have cursed about since I've been back here. When you're overseas, it's very hard to come back here. My son had special needs and medical condition. All of his medicines, only medicines he's really on is asthma. All of the asthma medicines are sold over the counter. You just go to the store. You just got to figure out what it is in Mexico. They always have an equivalent, at least if they're generic. They always have an equivalent. You buy it for pennies on the dollar. Albuterol inhaler over there is much cheaper than it is over here without insurance. Certain things are cheaper than my copay is over here. pain medicine. Now, narcotics can be a little iffy depending on where you are. You may need a script for that, which I could see, but most of the time you can buy those very easily. You also you can go to the doctor. The doctors will call you back, text you. I actually went to a clinic while I was there. I ended up having COVID while I was in Mexico City. I actually went to a pharmacy. The pharmacy had a clinic. When I went to the clinic, they told me, when I said, "Well, how much is the visit?" They said, "Oh, just donations." Well, you do it like the whole COVID screening. They asked the questions, made sure it wasn't something else like bronchitis, this, that, and the other. They see you, they do your COVID test, and then they write you your prescription for what you need. You don't necessarily need a prescription, but it's good to know because they can tell you what it is that you need for your condition. And the only thing you end up paying for is your medications. And they don't make you stay get your medications from there. The clinic is separated from the pharmacy. So that's the thing. There's so like the health benefits. Now the downside of it was the medication that we have here in America to treat COVID, they did not have in Mexico yet. And this was just November that I was there. So that's the downside of it because, and that's why I say generic medications are going to be there for the most part. Brand name medications may not be there, but that's it's for that reason. But the doctors are really great. A lot of them were trained here and they go back to their country to bring back that medical that they may not otherwise be able to, people may not otherwise be able to get. But here, our doctors are trained here. They have these outrageous loans. They pay all of this money. They go to these clinics, and there are plenty that go and work in the hospital, in the medical clinics, and say they want to change lives. I'm a nurse practitioner that went in and said I wanted to change lives. The nurses go in, they want to change lives. But the thing is, we get into these medical places and all they want to do is work us like slaves, pay us less than we deserve to be paid, overcharge the patients because the insurance is what really runs the medical system in America. And we're, as the patients, or even as the providers, sometimes we're caught in the middle because as a provider, what is most important is the number of diagnosis codes I give you. That's what's most important. How many things can I diagnose you with during that visit? Because that's what's going to make me money. And if I don't make money, guess what? I can't stay open. So that's how medical is done here. That's what the insurance wants to see. And it's unfortunate. Pamela said the Darien Gap is a region between North America and South America, and there's a route to Central America, accessible by car, very rough terrain. Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't, no, ma'am. I don't do that. Mm-mm. No, I'm not driving any of those things. See, that sounds like a lot of information for me to research. Then I feel like if you're going to drive to Mexico or you're going to drive to a country, you need to know how to read a map. I don't think you should depend on GPS because you never know when your GPS is going to go out. That GPS go out and you're screwed. I feel like you really need to have a map with you and you need to know how to read a map. You should just be going with GPS. And honestly, don't nobody read maps anymore. TV Lindsay, you can get some brands. It just depends on the medicine and the region too. The practitioners definitely actually take time with patients. Rarely happens here at home in the States. That's true. Yeah, I think they do have some brand medications. And then they have off-brand medications. It really just depends. You just got to see what they have, and you can look online and you can look at the pharmacy, you can call the pharmacy. A lot of the places you can WhatsApp and they'll tell you what they got because that's what they use a lot of times. It's WhatsApp. And yes, do your research on routes. Yeah, I really feel like you need to have a map. You need to really know how to get around, because if that GPS goes out, or download the maps, you could download maps. Because if that GPS goes out, yeah, you said, lovely one said GPS has had me in some strange places. Yes. And being in a strange place, in a place that you're at least somewhat familiar with, is different than being in a strange place in a strange country where you don't speak the language and don't necessarily know what the street signs say. And there may not be street signs or roads. It may not even be an actual street. It may be a dirt road you're traveling down. You need to know these things. She's in Guantanamo. I'm sure I said that wrong. That's cool. That's cool. What area are you in? Everybody out there seems to be in Merida. Merida, Playa del Carmen. Yeah, there's not a lot of street signs in any of these countries, to be quite honest with you. Picky Girl Travels was talking about she lived in Guatemala. I believe it was Guatemala. So she lived in Guatemala, and she was trying to get her mail. And the mailman goes between sections. Like, I live next to this and next to that. It wasn't really I live in 2426 such and such road. And then it's, of course, it's difficult to put your address on the mail for that reason. But yeah, there's not a lot of signs or address and street signs. It's not a lot of stoplights. It's not a lot of that stuff there. You think of it like being in the country of wherever you live. Yeah, they don't have addresses. When I wanted to do when I lived in Dominican Republic and I wanted to get Amazon, I used the courier system. And what the courier system did was Amazon would mail the stuff to a box in Miami, and that box in Miami would deliver to the courier where I was in Dominican Republic. So in the city that I was in, there would be a courier there, and I would have to go and pick up my stuff from that courier, because they couldn't drop all that stuff off everywhere, and there's no real place to say that you live. In Mexico City, you do have streets, and you have streets and you have addresses in the city. They are very, very confusing. You definitely have to get used to those, but you do. But when you go on the outskirts outside the city, yeah, like TV Lindsay said, that was the first thing she noticed living there. No addresses. She's in Playa. Yeah. So yeah, that comes with the living, but it's no way I'm gonna be driving around and I don't know anything about that. Intersections and the lot numbers. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of these countries. A lot of these countries do that. Yep. Yep. Costa Rica too. I'm telling y'all, I've been to all of these places y'all are talking about. They don't do that. I don't know how they get mail there. I don't know. Y'all better get y'all a virtual mailbox like I did and have them scan that mail so you can get it that way. And if it's something that can't go there, make sure you have some boots on the ground here in the States to receive that package. I did like that the courier could collect my Amazon stuff. In Mexico City, you can have stuff delivered direct. People will have Amazon packages delivered all the time because in Mexico, they have Amazon Mexico. Now, I don't know if they have them delivered in the country in places like Matamoros. But Mexico City, where y'all lived, TV Lindsay and Pamela, were y'all able to have like Amazon stuff delivered, or were you at least able to have a courier? And the courier wasn't just for Amazon. You could do eBay. You could do y'all. My friend sent me some Girl Scout cookies. She sent me some Girl Scout cookies down to Dominican Republic to the courier. All you needed was, well, I didn't notice when she sent that. All you needed was a receipt to show that it was purchased from a supplier. So we had a receipt. But yeah, so you just have it shipped to the courier. That's how you get stuff if you want packages. And let me tell y'all, there's no 2 day, because when it's shipped to the courier, you need to expect your package is gonna take at least a week. So all this, I'm gonna order this, and this, and you're gonna get it in a day or two. That don't exist. So guess what? You don't spend that much money on Amazon and all of those different things because you don't have any reason to, because it's gonna take about a week or two. And you could get to the store in that time. Let's see. You said it's better if you live in a building with a concierge. Yeah, I don't chance it though. I had my laptop charger I ordered through Amazon. I wouldn't trust anything special getting here though. I always got mine in Dominican Republic because it came to the courier. I never ordered anything. I always do a condo. I learned that local life is not for me on my first or second trip when I was in Costa Rica. I have to do a condo. I need a doorman, security. Yeah. But I've never had any trouble getting my items. I got every single thing that I ordered with the courier service, but I think that's different than having something shipped directly from Amazon to you as far as going through the courier, because the courier then is responsible for things not arriving. So I think that is the difference with using the courier versus directly. I never did get anything sent from Amazon Mexico. What I was actually looking for was I wanted a carbon monoxide detector. I was there when the individuals died from carbon monoxide poisoning during Day of the Dead ceremony. So I wanted a carbon monoxide detector, and my Airbnb host, we became associates, kind of friends, whatever. So she ended up getting one for me, so it was quick. Pamela said, I've never lived there. I visited and did research, and the shipping is very expensive. Some people hop planes to come to Miami to shop. Yes, the shipping is by the weight. So please know you got to be careful. I definitely didn't ship anything large. It was funny because this one woman, she would receive shippings because she made dolls. She made like the bigger, like Cabbage Patch size dolls, but the ones that were like live babies, before that was a huge thing, she was already making those. So she'd have the baby parts delivered and she'd have these huge shipments, but those are tax deductible. Don't forget that. Y'all better get y'all a business before y'all come up out of these states. So yes, that was definitely tax deductible. Those shipping fees, tax deductible. Think about that. So she was shipped that. But for me, my shipping fees were always under $3. And I think the heaviest thing were those damn Girl Scout cookies. Now the shipping for those Girl Scout cookies, I'm pretty sure were more than the price of the Girl Scout cookies, believe it or not. So that was probably the most expensive thing that I shipped. But otherwise, yeah, the rest of it wasn't too bad. But you do have to pay attention to the weight because shipping gets a bit expensive. So what else? What else would you all like to touch on before we conclude today out in YouTube land? Thank you for all my new people that have joined today. I love having you all and talking about these things, talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. But anything else? Any other questions or anything? We have some interviews coming up. One with a solo traveler. She's going to give us some tips on traveling solo. And then we have an interview coming up that's with three ladies that live in Merida, Mexico. And they're going to tell us all about their retreat that they do down there. On that episode, we did a tarot reading. So that episode, so the one about solo travelers will be coming out on the 12th. The one with the ladies that do the Merida retreat will be coming out on the 19th. Those are all Sundays. So make sure you look for that. Lauren said, hey, sorry I'm late. Hey, Lauren, we are wrapping up, but girl, you can always catch the replay, but I'm so glad that you made it. So let me know, ladies, anything else you want to touch on before I go? Anything, Lauren? We were talking about this, the Americans killed crossing the border, the tummy tuck, the way, the article was slanted to make it seem like Mexico is this awful place to live or go to when it's not. They went to this unknown place called Matamoros, where the cartel is known to be really heavy. So we talked about all of that, and we are winding down. For those of you that, sometimes I do wines. Somebody said, are you turning into, is this the wine tasting channel? Yes, that is so true. TV Lindsay, that is so true. So y'all know I like to do my wine today. I'm gonna tell y'all my wine before I go. So today we have Snoop Dogg's Cali Rosé. I tried the rosé today. Rosé it's pretty tasty. I won't say that it's light like the one from last week, but it's lighter than some of the other wines, and it's pretty good. So if you want to get it. They ain't paying me nothing, so I'm just telling you what I'm drinking. So I don't care. But all right, ladies. So I'll try to jump in from time to time on my destinations from my cruise. If I do not, don't be mad at me. That means I'm just relaxing and I don't want to do nothing. But I hope you have a wonderful evening and a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see you soon. Ciao.